Hi, welcome to a fresh episode of upGrad Grassroots. I'm Utkarsh, one of the co-founders of myHQ. So myHQ began a few years back. I've always faced an issue of working space, whether it was for my NGO meetings or for even brainstorming for the startup. And then I realized that there was no option. You either had to spend a huge amount of investment to get a commercial real estate property, or work out of a really crowded cafe. And then when I went deeper into the problem, I kind of realized that a lot of my friends who were starting up also faced a similar issue. So that's how the concept of myHQ actually began for me. So with COVID-19, we actually figured out some more solutions as well and accelerated our growth post that in the new world in 2021. With these aspects we've actually grown faster, grown better, and are able to cater to our clients in a much more organized manner now. With all these learnings of the last few years, I will begin my masterclass sharing some of the learnings from our experiences, hoping that this will help you achieve what you are trying to achieve faster and better and bring a change in a traditional industry. So point number one, there needs to be a problem and actually a really better solution. Traditional businesses have been running that way for a reason. It is either too tough to change, or maybe people just like it that way and people find it better that way. Is your solution actually bringing some cost savings to the customer, or is it making life more convenient, or both? You need to figure that out. A concept which is commonly known in the startup ecosystem is the Delta 4 concept, which was proposed by Kunal Shah. It mentions that bringing an efficiency of Delta 4, you're actually not just bringing a USP to the customer, you're also bringing you bring a concept called UBP, which is unique brag-worthy proposition, and that actually brings an irreversible change in the market. Once a user has used you, if you're bringing a Delta 4 efficiency in the system, the user will not move back to the existing solution. And that's what you have to work towards. You have to work towards the problem and actually bringing a big change, solving it in a much more efficient manner. And that's where the user actually becomes yours. If you look at, for example, Oyo came in a very traditional market, but it disrupted that with the 999 pricing, where it said the rooms were as discounted as 999. So there was cost saving. And then it was bringing a standardization layer where you could actually be confident that, okay, you'll get the Wi-Fi in the room, you'll get the basic services sorted. So that's where the convenience aspect actually came in. That's how Oyo actually disrupted the traditional guest houses or the 3-star hotel market and brought in a change and built a brand around it. The second point is keep it simple. In fact, the biggest of the businesses are usually built on the simplest of ideas. The more complicated it actually becomes, the lesser the number of people understand it, and the smaller the business market, the market potential becomes. Right? Everyone says that when you want to start a business, you want a big market size, you want to solve a problem for a large audience, and that's what you want to do. Keep it simple, solve for a large number of audience, and you will make money and build a big enough business. So recently I came across this book called Let's Build a Startup, which was written by Harpreet, who's one of the founders of CoCubes, where he actually mentions a very good, interesting example, which I think many of you would kind of know about. So there were two companies, mySigma and Inductis, both data analytics firms, right? While Inductis used to hire the sharpest of the minds from the IITs and the IIMs and try to solve for the biggest or toughest of the problems, mySigma relatively kept it very simple, right? You would solve simple problems for the businesses and a very recurring problems which are recurring for the businesses altogether. Not hiring maybe the smartest of the folks as well, not paying them as high as well. So if you look at it over a period of the last 10 years or 15 years, mySigma actually became a unicorn, while Inductis got sold for about $20 million. So that's the impact of a simple idea which is recurring and which is solving a problem for its customers day in, day out. Another point is to not just focus on building your product, but also build the category and the brand, right? Many times we just focus on acquiring users and spending money on Google ads, and that's what a lot of the businesses actually end up doing, helping Google earn its own profits, right? However, if you're actually disrupting the traditional market, you need to ensure that people know about it. Spend on brand building, spend on being categorized as a leader in the category, right? The traditional folks actually love or respect you even more if you're there in news articles or clippings altogether or online digital media. If you look at some of the examples in the startup ecosystem as well, Flipkart, a leader in the e-commerce domain, right? If you look at its initial campaigns, I think many of you would recollect the campaigns which started with those small kids in those ads. while they try to promote Flipkart, the larger concept which they were trying to bring in was that e-commerce was as easy that even a small 5-year-old or a 6-year-old kid can actually start using it. They tried to bring the trust associated with the category, which actually helped them build that category and become a market leader where they are right now. So just as a summary and a tip, I understand that obviously as for folks starting up, you are cash constrained, etc. But don't just spend money on acquiring the user at there and then. You figure out your budgets, not just on customer acquisition, but also brand building and category building. If you're able to achieve both in parallel, one is a very long-term game and one is a short-term game. Both in parallel is where a business is actually built. Coming to the next point is, figure out the right timing for the business. I think a lot of people do not really answer this question. They think of a problem, think of a solution, and then they start working on it. The question here is that why do you think this solution is best suited to implement right now? Why was it not done 5 years back? Why cannot it be done 5 years later? How will the market actually help you get an exponential growth? This is very hard to judge, and it's something that you need to kind of address to, because that also defines the amount of struggle that you'll have to make, right? Another example here, which is I think many of you would have seen, was when Jio launched in India, right? When Jio saw huge penetration, that's when you started seeing more vernacular apps come in, right? You saw the likes of Josh, Moj, Takata, TikTok, all of them having a huge uptake, largely post when the penetration of phone and mobile internet increased in India. So it's very important for everyone to understand when is the right timing for the business. Why does it make sense for you to do the business right now and not 3 years back or 3 years forward? The next point, figure out the role of these traditional businesses or traditional stakeholders in your business. If you look at it, right, Zomato had to deal with a lot of those traditional restaurant owners, right? In the beginning, they were not used to online reservations or putting their menus online. And Zomato had a huge team on the ground working with the restaurant owners. The owners actually loved them. And that's what they tried to build in. They tried to capture the partners, the restaurant owners, and make them get the restaurant owners as their partners, right? As a marketplace, they're not just focused on acquiring the customers, but also ensuring that their partners, those traditional restaurant owners, are also happy with them. Over time, they built the relations with them. They figured out that they were capturing the traditional markets are usually very fragmented, right? You got 90% of the market extremely fragmented with standalone owners. So Zomato actually built their relations with those 90%, started working with them, brought a change for them, and that's when others, the top 10%, also started noticing that how Zomato was actually helping the market, and then they came on board. It's not easy, or maybe it's not easy for you to get all the traditional partners on board right up from day one, but you can start with the long tail, the fragmented market, where you can bring the change and then slowly move up the ladder. It also might mean, to be honest, where you have to put a lot more feet on the street, but that's an initial investment. Over time, a lot of those things can be solved by technology, right? Once people are used to seeing you, once you've built a brand, once you've built a category online, all of those things get resolved over time. So the next point is experiment fast, right? Most startups, a lot of the companies actually die because they do not learn fast enough. You might think that you need a big tech team, a big marketing team to actually build a product or get a product market fit. But a lot of the experiments can actually be done by simply using outsourced products and analyzing your own data, right? You look at the feedback that you're getting from stakeholders, you look at the usage patterns, you'll be quickly able to analyze where the market is going. Talking to 30 odd users or 50 odd users, you'll be able to understand the trends that are going there. Once you're able to do that, iterate, right? Engage with the stakeholders regularly, work with them on the experiments, and you'll build your product much more faster, right? You don't necessarily need to build everything from day one. There are products like, for example, Shopify, if you're building your own e-commerce portal, you just start using that, right? If customers find value, they will still purchase from you, whether you're using Shopify or using your own website altogether. In our case, as an example, we were in the pre-COVID era, we were catering to the flexible market or the remote working market by providing them open seats across all our centers, across all 300, 400 centers of ours at $200 a day. But what we saw in the post-COVID era was we realized that some of the customers were not really willing to come in. They were scared of sharing a table. So we quickly iterated on it. Within a month of talking to our first few customer base, our first few customers who were coming post-COVID, we realized that we needed an option where we could allow users to also book private cabins by the day. They could get their teams to huddle in, work together, and while get immune from what's happening in the outside in the entire property. So we quickly launched it. We launched the product, and that's the product that's been actually one of the fastest growing products for us in the post-COVID era. So the next point is hire people with fresh ideas. Your thoughts really do get impacted by what you do in, day out, right? If you are in the same industry, the traditional industry that you're trying to disrupt, if you've been in that industry for the last 10, 15 years, maybe you're not able to think bright enough or think completely new to actually how do you disrupt it. You are ingrained in the system for far too long to maybe actually bring a change there. So it's always better to kind of get a fresh perspective and see whether that actually helps improve the business or get a new way of solving the problem that you're trying to resolve. So one thing we actually do in our hiring interviews for myHQ as well is that we do a simple case study. We try to analyze and see whether a person is able to actually solve a problem on first principles, whether he's able to build a structured tree, where he's able to figure out how to solve that problem. If it's a simple case of how do you increase your profit, right? How does he break that down into revenue minus cost equal to profit, right? How do you increase the revenue? How do you decrease the cost? Then breaking that further down, is revenue is equal to the number of products sold to the price per product. Then breaking it down further. So the whole aspect of anyone actually trying to solve a problem is to think whether they can actually break it down into simpler logical statements and come to a conclusion there. So breaking down a problem on first principles, on logic is essential, right? And a person with fresh ideas might be able to do that better, think of the traditional business in a different way, and figure out a solution which actually brings the 10x change that you want and help you build a large enough business. So the last point is just basically analyze the trends, both inside your business and outside your business. Most traditional businesses struggle with two aspects. One is having data. They've not maybe digitized it or do not really have the data. The second aspect, even if some of them have the data, they're not able to analyze it or draw conclusions out of it. And that's where you have to come in. In our case, we've seen that commercial real estate has been going on for ages, but for a property owner to make that decision that, okay, should I launch a co-working space or set up a flexible office space in an XYZ area, in a new area, that's something which he was making a decision based on gut. So that's where we came in. We gave him some inputs based on our understandings of the market, understanding the consumer behavior, where the customers are coming. Then there is second level to it. If you are able to purchase a space there or offer some options for the customer there, at what price point do you want to offer a seat to a customer? How do you make it a profitable venture for you on that center? So that's the second level of understanding. Are the customers willing to pay for it? So those are some of the data aspects that the traditional owners were not really looking into. A lot of the decisions were driven by gut, which is where you would see a lot of the traditional space owners, the traditional real estate market, whether it's in restaurants or in commercial, they would struggle with profitability or making a huge revenue out of it. That's where we come in. We bring the data, analyze the trends and help them make better decisions. That's where they also value us. So besides just analyzing the trends, one thing which we've also kind of made a conscious effort to do regularly is do customer surveys, right? We've tried to always talk to the customer, understand their usage pattern, identify what will work best for them. Honestly, we think we are smart, but the customer is always smarter. If you have a conversation with him, back that up with the data that you've already analyzed, you will be able to make much more smarter decisions for the customer to help him and ensure that he gets a great option, and for the partner as well to help him ensure that he makes more money and makes a better decision. That's all, folks. I hope you found this video informative and useful. If you do, then you must definitely check out the other awesome videos in the upGrad Grassroots playlist. The links are in the description, and you know the drill. Like, comment and share and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.